Hello everyone, welcome back to Helldivers 2. A while ago, my partners in crime and I put together a list of 10 things we wish we'd known when we started playing. And recently, we've been talking about the type of things we'd like to see in the future. So here we go. 10 things we'd like to see in the future of Helldivers 2. Numbers 1 through 5 have to deal with weapons and stratagems. Number 1. Sniper rifles that work. Currently, they're garbage. They fire way too quickly, they don't have any armor penetration, and they don't do enough damage. What we have right now are essentially long-range pistols that get outdamaged by the actual pistols. Solution? Sniper rifles need to fire at half their current rate of fire. They need to do a minimum of double their current amount of damage, and their armor penetration needs to be increased by 1 level each, putting the Diligence at medium penetration and the Diligence counter sniper at heavy penetration. This wouldn't make them OP by any sense of the word, but it'd make them functional. And the lack of a valid sniper kit for this game is something that it's in dire need of. Number 2. An Incendiary Sentry. A flame-throwing turret would be a great addition to the current Sentry lineup. It would offer better close-up damage than the current set do, while having a more limited range, which would minimize some of those instances of friendly fires as our turrets mow down enemies. Number 3. Decoy Grenades. A grenade that does nothing more than make a shitload of noise and draw the enemy to a localized area would be amazing. It would allow us to clear paths through dangerous areas, clear off an objective, or set up traps for the enemy. The thermite grenade already pretty much looks the part. We just need something a little bit more annoying. Maybe something like that little drone that kind of flies around and blares music when you're doing the flag raising. That's got a larger pull radius than the explosion radius. Number 4. Silenced weapons for stealth. Now there are a couple different ways to approach this one. Weapons that have suppression included on them would be great, but that would require that the weapons actually be good, which is hit and miss with how the Warbonds are going. Another option could be armor that has suppression as a passive. Kind of like the way scout armor does with regards to its detection radius. But the easiest option is probably going to be a booster that just diminishes enemy detection for the whole squad when firing their weapon. Number 5. The return of the Railgun. Now this one doesn't really need any explanation if you've been playing this game for a while. The Railgun nerf hurt. But the kicker was, it was never OP. It was really good, but it wasn't a game changer. Personally, I never even used it, so I don't miss it, and I wasn't angry when the nerf happened, but I recognize the fact that it was favored by a lot of players. The solution would be to leave the shackled version, the safe mode, as it currently is, with the nerf in place, but return the unshackled, the unsafe mode to what it was pre-nerf. That high-risk, high-reward factor that the original Railgun offered was a solid implementation for this game, and it's something that they should put back. Alright, number 6 and 7 have to do with armor. We'd like to see some passive reorganization for better synergy. Take a look at the Medkit, Scout, or Democracy Protects passives for good synergy. In each set, both passives complement one another. More stims with increased stim duration, radar pings with diminished detection, or a 50% chance to shake off lethal damage with no bleed damage from chest hemorrhaging. All other passives are kind of lacking in that cooperation, in that synergy. The servo-assisted passive should pair increased throwing range with increased grenade count. That's a no-brainer. Fortified should take extra padding's increased armor, which, in my opinion, is a lackluster passive by itself, and pair that with the explosive resistance that Fortified already has. Next, we get rid of extra padding, which we just combined with Fortified, and we create the Covert passive, which combines the Scout's 30% diminished detection with 30% diminished recoil when crouched or prone. The theory being that if we ever get a working sniper rifle or stealth setup, we want to be able to put them to good use. Lastly, we scrap the engineering kit. I don't know about the rest of you, but the name always bugged me since it never really had anything to do with engineering anyway. And we get rid of this in favor of a variation of Democracy Protects. We take the increased limb health that we're no longer using on servo-assisted and combine that with the prevention of all bleed damage from chest hemorrhages to create democratic resolve. Regarding variations of passives that we've already got, we'd also like to see armors with fire or poison resistance in the same way that we already have armors that almost nullify all electrical damage. Another option could be something that it's like an across-the-board damage resist, like 25% resistance to fire, poison, and electrical, or something to that effect. Apart from passives, I think we'd all like to see more customization. If we can't get a transmog or the ability to customize the armor color schemes, how about helmets that just have a dynamic coloring instead of a fixed coloring, so that whatever you pair them with, they will match? Because there are a lot of helmets that look really cool, but because of the coloring, you can't match them with armors that you think look pretty cool. So having helmets that change their coloring to match whatever armor you're wearing would generate a lot of goodwill. Numbers 8, 9, and 10 are all regarding just general quality of life improvements. The minimap world interaction needs to be fixed. Currently, with the minimap open, the ability to interact with the world, be it pick up samples, ammo, what have you, it doesn't work. If I open the minimap, but I don't move the crosshairs as if I'm going to drop a marker, so I'm just looking at the map as I move, I should still be able to interact with the world as I pass over things, and it would just close the map. No problems. Number 9. The Warbonds need to be focused on quality over quantity. This fact was first voiced, at least to me, by Dragon Ruse back when the first big update/nerf came out. So far, the Warbonds haven't really provided anything in the way of player, weapon, armor progression. And progression is key for long-term play as a way of keeping players working towards something. But as things currently are, most Warbonds haven't really done much. 3 armor sets, 3 primary weapons, a pistol, a grenade, and a booster. And the bulk of those aren't really adding anything to the mix. The armors are essentially the same as what we already had access to, but with just a different skin. And the weapons are more often than not either worse than what we already had, or just not any better. Number 10 is a late addition to this list, but one that we've been talking about for a while, which has now come back up due to the release of our second Exo-Suit. The suits are fun, but they have their limitations. The most irritating of which is the fact that there's no way to call in other stratagems from inside the mech. Seriously, all the tech involved in that, and you want us to believe that the diver piloting the mech has no comms to their ship in orbit? The fix? The stratagems should work exactly the same as they do outside the Exo-Suit. Once programmed, the next shot from either arm fires the stratagem beacon. Easy peasy. On that same note, though much less of an irritation, can someone please explain why the guard dogs just go docile rather than staying active? Yeah, I understand that they need to dock with the backpack to reload or recharge, but there are a lot of ways to synergize that with the Exo-Suit, especially for the laser guard dog. Like our last list, we've got one extra thing that we'd like to see, and I know this one doesn't really need to be said, but we're gonna do it anyway. No more nerfs. It's easy. This isn't a PvP game. If a weapon or stratagem is more effective or more preferred than others, who cares? What does it harm exactly? If the goal is to get players to use other setups, then make the other options better or more effective. There are several weapons or stratagems in desperate need of dev attention, because they're utter crap. Don't weaken and diminish what works. Fix the stuff that's broken, the stuff that no one's using. With no clear progression in this game outside of levels 1 through 20 to unlock 95% of the stratagems, the only thing that is going to hold players long term is the fun factor. But the fun factor is dependent on player goodwill, which takes a hit every time something that we like gets broken in favor of balance, making it easier and easier to move on to another game where builds and loadouts are consistent and don't require constant relearning of what works and what doesn't. On top of that, it'd just be nice to be able to get excited about upcoming updates again, rather than worrying about what the devs are going to take away from us next. And with that, I'll break out the world's tiniest violin for our sorrows and bring a close to this list of things we'd like to see for Helldivers 2. Leave a comment below if you'd like some of our suggestions or have a suggestion of your own. And as always, thanks for watching.